Hey, it's Sean Mayer back again for another Scent Notes video. Sorry it's been a long time. This year's just been absolutely bonkers. I have been trying to keep up and I've, you know, uh, kind of gotten way down and I kind of, whenever things get a little hectic, you kind of just focus on what's important. So I've been trying to create as much as I can with as little time as I've had. But I've got a few new in the pipeline. And the first one is for Chatillon Lux. It's called 1904. It's based on the 1904 World's Fair, specifically on the 1904 World's Fair. That's a hard one to get out. A lot of new culinary inventions kind of became known to more mainstream culture, just because that's before like any sort of mass communication. So if something's invented, it really takes a while to really circulate. So people came there and they discovered Dr. Pepper for the first time, peanut butter, supposedly ice cream cones. It's all debated, iced tea. Like there's some people say it's invented there, probably just got widely known there, hamburgers, things like that. However, one of the things that happened there was, a big like coffee roaster started bringing their coffee in, and it became some more like industrialized versions of this. And St. Louis being very on the forefront of the Industrial Revolution, you had a few different companies who kind of gave prominence and brought St. Louis to become one of the foremost coffee roasting places in America for a while, which it's fun. And today, obviously, that stuff's going to be like, I'm sure, garbage. Some of those companies exist, and I couldn't say I willingly drink any of their coffee, but there are some great third wave coffee roasters here, and I'd highly recommend Some Coffee, which you might know. I use this Some Coffee tincture in Crystal Moon by Meryl Factive. But this time in 1904, I wanted to think about that more roasty coffee, that traditional coffee, the coffee that you probably had to roast dark because, just to make it last, you had to roast out any semblance of anything that could rot, I guess, because, back then without mass transit and really fast railroads, things like that, you probably had to make sure it was made to last. So it was probably deeply roasted coffee. So for the coffee note in 1904, and let me do this. I like to spray a little bit. You see the bottle here. It's coming out as I film this tomorrow morning, midnight actually, at September 28th. Declaration Grooming will have soap aftershave and their balm called liniment in this as well. But I like to spray it to jog my memory because I forget a lot and helps to remember. But so the coffee note, what I did was I used a coffee essential oil. I used that same coffee essential oil in porch drinks I did for Carnivus and Richardson like years and years ago. The first time I ever made a scent for another brand, actually. But this one is a deep, rich, roasty coffee essential oil. I fortify it with like some pyrazines, which are kind of the nutty part of coffee. I feel like it's kind of something you get from a roasted like a brewed coffee that you don't get from a roasted coffee. So I think these go really well in helping make it feel like more of a freshly brewed cup instead of like the beans in the bag. But then additionally, I used like a GCMS analysis, and I got some other ideas like strawberry fernal, some like kind of more sweet things just in like little microdoses. It would really help kind of bring that kind of, I won't say smoky because it's definitely not smoky, most definitely not smoky, but that roasty kind of feeling to it that you want to get. So you're going to get some of that kind of like burnt caramel type notes a little bit in there. So I kind of use some of that in there as well. The next note, and you kind of get it as it kind of comes off, you do get a big glass of coffee at first. And then you're going to get some of the cardamom. I use the cardamom essential oil. That's pretty straightforward. It goes great with coffee. Also used it in porch drinks, but it is a very nice cool spice that really goes well with the coffee, and I think they really blend together very, very well. The next, you're going to start to see this jasmine accord. So with the jasmine accord, I used another GCMS analysis, a different one that I'd used previously to kind of, I've had a jasmine accord I've used a lot in different aspects. I've used it in unconditional surrender. I've used it also in Nefertiti. But this one I wanted to make a little bit more indelic, a little bit more, well, it's not the most realistic again, it's more of an idealized version as well. something that I thought blended with the coffee that kind of brings out, like whenever you get a coffee that has jasmine notes in it, like a third-rate roasted coffee, you're gonna get some, like, with the jasmine notes, you're gonna get that kind of like more tartness to it. I think that would be a good word to use. So I used, again, like a benzyl acetate, you know, benzyl alcohol. I also used a lot of the indole arome, which is like gonna have that indolic aspect to it. Big thing I did change though, in this, and you start to get it a little bit more, the cinnamic aldehyde note that you're gonna get in there. So it's like that kind of spicy note in there, and also eugenol, which is a big component of clove. So those two notes are gonna be pulled up a lot more than they ever were in the previous jasmine cores I've made. So it's a lot more spicy jasmine, which goes really, really well with the coffee, because you want to, because that spicy note just fits in perfectly with that hot spice, combined with the cool spice of cardamom, together with that coffee note. So once all those come together, I'm also going to get a big dose of hedione in there, because it's a great jasmine material. And it really helps. There's a lot of thick materials in there, so that's going to space it out a little bit more. Additionally, I used a sandalwood note in there. I made a sandalwood accord on this one. Let me see, make sure I get it right. I use bactinol, sandalore, ebanol, and javanol with methyl octolactone, which is like kind of a caramely sweet note. I've used it before. I think it really adds that kind of creaminess, because octolactone, that means the lactonic note. Lactonic being like a milky kind of creamy note. And in sandalwood, you're going to get a lactonic kind of edge. And some of those materials that I've used for sandalwood accords, they always miss that kind of that idea of the creaminess of a sandalwood. So I added that methyl octolactone in there. And I think that really makes it, really fills it out, but also kind of like brings the sandalwood out a little bit more. Finally, what I added in there was cashmere, which is like a musk. It's like a woody musk. It always makes you think of like a beech wood or something. It's really like, it's really textured. It's very, very textured. I really love it. Some people have said it's like sun bearing down on a driftwood note. I think it's actually kind of what I've heard before, which is, I mean, driftwood wasn't my idea. Sorry, I made it sound like I came up with that idea. I did not. I've taken it from other people. However, it does give me like a sun-soaked driftwood note, like just kind of like the, like really baked wood, something that feels like really textured, really piquant. So that's going to go in with the sandalwood, and I feel like give it a little bit more modern feel as well. But also not let the sandalwood just get too weighed down and get drowned out by some of the other notes. I feel like that brings it up. It gives it kind of that boost, that vibrancy that you kind of want, that sandalwood kind of accords don't have on their own very often, which is why they sometimes get eaten up. Then finally, on top of it all, I added just a little bit of dose of lime. I almost didn't mention, because I just wanted to add that kind of zest to the jasmine accord, but I do feel like it comes out in that you can feel that kind of brightness, that vibrancy really pulls, I think that and the cashmere kind of play together really well to kind of come together and boost up the whole thing together, and it really ties it together. So I think the lime was a big player. You're probably not going to smell it. If you do, it's just going to be the idea of it, like a zestiness. You're not going to get like that, but I used lime oxide, which is like kind of like a candy lime almost in a way, and I think that it just really pulls the whole thing together. So like I said, this comes out September 28th. So if you're watching this, I'm going to try to post it tonight, which is the 27th. But, you know, we'll see what happens between now and then. The internet is not something I trust. However, it's coming out September 28th, midnight here, Central Time. That's also going to come out with Declaration Grooming. Is going to come out at noon Eastern, 11 Central. And he's gonna have the shaving soap, aftershave, and a liniment, which is a hyper nourishing balm. It's really great for dry skin, sensitive skin, just skin that you want to feel good. You know, just get it. It's great. So I highly recommend you at least pick it up and check it out, because this is one I'm very happy with. I think it's gonna touch a lot of different bases, and something that I feel like it could be worn on a lot of different occasions. I feel like it can be very formal. I feel like it can be really fun and fresh and bright. I think it's just something, it's like chameleon to your mood and whatever you're doing it with. I think it's really just, but sometimes when you get those kinds of scents that feel like a chameleon, they sit in the back. This one stays at the forefront. I think it's bright and zesty enough to feel fun, but also has a deep richness to it that also feels like, you know, really has some gravitas that you can wear in like a formal situation. So anyways, I hope you check it out, and thanks for watching. And I will talk to you soon for a new Mineral Olfactive release that I will announce called Saigon Dahlia. I'll talk to you later.